So cool to have you on, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're big
now,
fans.
I don't know. Now, I missed the lead-in. Did you also talk about all the Cybertrucks just being recalled?
Oh, that's right. No, I didn't. Thank you for mentioning that. Yes.
It literally just crossed the Wall Street Journal just reported, crossed my email. Nearly every Cybertruck just got recalled because it's got some panel problem that falls off.
Yeah, it's got a panel problem. The panels are falling off of the thing like crazy. It's, oh, man.
They have destroyed. I mean, again, like you said, the violence is wrong, obviously, but they have destroyed that company. It is shocking to me. I had test driven one of those like 10 years ago. It was amazing. Of course, I didn't know it fell apart, but they've just, but I mean, I wouldn't be caught dead in that thing now. And I thought they were the coolest thing 10 years ago.
Oh, well, they were the coolest thing 10 years ago. And the cars are really good. I mean, look, give the devil his due in the early going. He made electric cars cool, okay? And there's a computerized, and I've had 3 of them. So I really have loved the car. Now, I'm with you. I'm getting rid of. I have a Tesla that leases up in like 6 weeks or 2 months, and I'm getting rid of it. Of course,
it's embarrassing. It's not even like, oh, don't buy Domino's pizza. I'd be embarrassed being seen in the thing. That's how much they've destroyed the brand. I mean, you know that, but
but it's worth and it's instructive because it's worth noting that it was a lib kind of associated brand. You know, it was the progressives and the Democrats and the libs that were really supporting that company domestically.
Who buys electric cars? We do. I mean, that's the funniest thing. They've destroyed the brand with the actual people who buy it. You know, they're trying to get Republicans to buy it. They don't want to they want to buy a gas guzzler.
That's exactly right. Although, now you've got, the Republican in chief saying, buy Tesla. I just bought one. And who knows? But it's interesting because that coexists with, of course, rolling back, which they're doing. I was just reading a piece this week about that. They're rolling back all the incentives at the federal level for electric vehicles. So this is a weird kind of cognitive dissonance, Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, Elon made his bed. I mean, again, everything going, whatever. I get so upset about it. And for him to sit there and say, I haven't killed anybody, nobody's died. They've literally got the names of people who have died as a result of his foreign aid cutoff, for starters.
Exactly.
They cut off food to dying children. They cut off AIDS medicine to hundreds of thousands of people who are going to now get full-blown AIDS because of this. I mean, it's the lies, just the gaslighting. It's extraordinary.
I mean, look, it used to be in politics that there was always a degree of spin. There were always misrepresentations. There were even lies. I mean, but now it's just I default to whatever these guys are saying isn't true at all. I go to that place because it's borne out over and over and over that whatever they're saying is not true at all. I mean,
well, and with Trump, granted, with Trump, we always knew that, right? What is still shocking to me, well, obviously, what's shocking is people voted for him again, obviously, but I don't know to what degree we can tell what his voters really think. I mean, we see the crazies and, online, we only hear from the crazies, right? And I don't know whether like normal Americans who maybe voted for him but aren't insane, if there is that category, whether they look at any of this and go, maybe some of this isn't like getting rid of the Department of Education sounds a little creepy, doesn't it? You wonder. I just don't know.
Well, is there buyer's remorse is what you're saying, right?
Or the beginnings of it, at least a little bit. Is there any doubt?
Yeah.
I want a scintilla of doubt. I don't want remorse because I don't think we're getting that. But do they even ever sit there and go, like with Donald Trump, do they ever sit there and go, I don't know, 34 felonies, maybe that's not fabulous. Paying off a porn star you slept with when your wife just had her baby, maybe that's okay, not good.
I mean, the vote that came out for him, I feel might have been kind of the bro vote a little bit. Certainly a lot of the podcasts he achieved, I'd say kind of a critical mass to getting people out off the couch who probably don't vote in elections typically.
Yeah.
And so that crew probably isn't moved by the felony thing. Yeah. I always felt like the Democrats, it's interesting, John, that you mentioned it. Just as an aside, I'll say they made a big thing out about the felony because it matters to us.
Right.
But I think that those who kind of look at it, but what was it a felony for? I mean, some business thing, paying off some, woman he rolled around with. I get it.
Stealing classified information, trying to overthrow the government. I mean, I'm with you, but they will. What worries me is they will always rationalize it. They're not rationalizing it because it was Stormy Daniels and is an affair really such a big deal. Then we had him trying to violently overthrow the government. Somehow then that became not a big deal. I mean, I think what he said about killing somebody on Fifth Avenue, he'd get away with it, whatever that quote was. That's what worries me, is that we're into full-blown sort of cult territory where there's just no criticism. You know, I can look at Bill Clinton and tell you, I love Bill Clinton. I thought he was an amazing president, clearly a flawed man. You won't hear that from them about Trump.
Yeah, all they'll say is, I wish he didn't tweet as much, they used to say, right? And you're right. That was a deal buster for me. Like, how do you even get past the insurrection? How do you even get past anything else? I don't understand it. Guy had
Russian stuff for me.
Fake electors, John. I mean, it was a full scheme, you know?
I have to let my dog in and out while the show's going on, just so you know. Okay. That's why you'll see me leaning over and coming back.
That's all right. It's fine. Thank you, Albert. That's a picture of Trump with an executive order. By the way, I just noticed this for the very first time. That may be the biggest signature in the history of the office of the presidency.
I think it's gotten bigger, actually. I don't think they were as big before. Now he's,
that's a pretty big one. One of the things I love all of your stuff, and one of the things I love is that you kind of weigh in on foreign policy in a pretty substantial way as well. And you do have knowledge in that area. I wonder if you can give me just a sense of how you see this changing world. I see all of these alliances, and I see much of what's happening in the world with a certain fragility that obviously these guys who are now in power in the U.S. don't see. I mean, they just come in like a wrecking crew and pivot. This is, I think, a scary time as a result. But I wonder if you can give me your thoughts on what's happening.
Ironically, Trump and his people like to talk about, oh my God, World War III, the world's going to end with Ukraine, and we've got to stop all this, right? They have made the world more dangerous. Trump is basically destroying NATO. I mean, I've told people on my show, because we get a lot of Europeans, especially, I'd say a lot of maybe 25% Europeans who weigh in, and they ask me, do you really think Trump would, blow us off, not help us if Russia invades? And I'm like, of course he wouldn't help you. And to the Canadians, of course he's going to invade. I mean, sure, it's possible Trump doesn't invade Canada. It's just as likely he crosses the border and grabs a little bit of land just to be a jerk. He has destroyed our side of the, world order, or whatever you want to call it. The good guys don't exist anymore. The good guys have certainly been weakened. We are with the bad guys. What message does that send to the Russians? It tells the Russians, you know what? In a few years, you might want to grab the rest of Ukraine. You also may want to go after Poland and Lithuania and Latvia. Just grab a little bit. Don't grab the whole country. Grab a little sliver if you want it, right? And Trump will say, well, is it really that bad? If you're Chinese and you're China looking at Taiwan, you go, you know what? The Americans and the Europeans, they're not so together anymore. Right? Do we really think, okay, Trump and the Republicans claim they'll go to war over Taiwan. Will the Europeans go to war over Taiwan? Really? Will they help us? Really? Now? I mean, that is what is so scary is, the forces of evil in the world, and I'll use the word, but China, Iran, Russia, they see that the opposition is now fractured, and the opposition is missing its key player, which is Trump. And if anything, when you're doing the calculus in your head, whether you're Russia, China, or Iran, about going to war or doing something outrageous, you do a risk-benefit analysis, and you say, you know what? It just got a little more benefit because the U.S. probably isn't going to be a player anymore. That makes you more likely to do bad things internationally. So it very much scares me, and it basically means we're at a little more risk of international conflict now.
And you really even hear a lot of these nations nuking up now. They're talking about,
and frankly, they should.
Sure, of course.
No, but I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, you say sure, but you know what I mean. Like, of course, we don't want nukes spreading all over the world, but you absolutely should get them now, right?
When you and I were kids, there was this move to disarmament, and those who ascended to power and talked about the disarmament that even the U.S. would participate in conjunction with the Russians, that was celebrated. That the idea that the world could destroy itself in a matter of minutes because of all of these nukes, that nuclear proliferation was viewed as a huge, huge burden. I mean, we all lived it as kids, and we celebrated when these disarmament treaties were actually signed. Now I see kind of what you're talking about, which is, these countries feel like, hey, America's not going to be there for us, so we need to nuke up. And it's a scary time again. Start
with Europe. If you're Europe right now, and the Poles have already now talked about nuclear weapons, at least getting some French nuclear weapons, which now it looks like maybe the French in 10 years said they may fly fighter jets that have nukes on them, 10 years from now. But if you're a European country looking at Russia expanding, especially Poland, which is right on the border more or less with Russia, you're going to say the lesson of Ukraine is if you have nukes, you can get away with murder, which Russia did. And even Biden loved Biden, but he caved to Putin way too much, along with the French and the Germans. They caved too at the beginning of the war. And Ukraine gave up its nukes 20 years ago. Had Ukraine not given up, actually 30 years ago, had they not given up their nukes, it would have been much less likely Russia would have invaded. So A, if you have nukes, you get away with murder. B, if you have nukes, it's much less likely the big guy is going to come after you. I'm sorry, but to the entire war, and I'm sorry, lesson 3, Ukraine gave up its nukes. We promised to defend them, and we really didn't.
That's
Russia
the
invaded.
point. Yeah.
So if you're Iran, do you really want to give up your quest to get nukes? If you've got nukes, do you want to give them up? Hell no. Sure. This is a disaster worldwide.
Yeah, right. And I love that you note that the agreement that was made that, you know, you give up your nukes, Ukraine, and we'll take care of you. It's a security agreement. But again, sort of the word of the U.S. is not worth much, as we learn.
No. And again, even now that was Bill Clinton and the invasion initially happened under Obama, but now you've got Trump taking it to an nth degree worse, obviously, with the commitment to NATO. You know, we're threatening war with Denmark, NATO ally Greenland, NATO ally Canada, NATO ally. I mean, they think this, I think what is really troubling for me too is they think this is all funny. I think when we talk about this, the Republicans, the MAGA people go, oh, look at the libs all upset about the world order. This isn't funny talking about invading our neighbors. This isn't funny sucking up to our enemies. I mean, I was a Republican like 30 years ago. I did foreign policy for a Republican in the Senate, actually. It shocks me the most to see Republicans go bad on foreign policy, because I would have thought that's one issue, right? Standing up to America's enemies and defending our troops is one issue Republicans are never going to go back on. And they elect a draft dodger who has repeatedly made fun of the military, called them suckers and losers, and now is saddling up to our enemies. And we all go, la, 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 I guess that's okay now. Hating them. You know, I mean, it's almost like they're the far left. They're the stereotype of the far left that we've had to deal with for decades. Oh, you hate America. You hate defending America. You hate the troops and you love our enemies. Guess who that is now? It's the mainstream Republican Party.
And most of that, wouldn't you say, John, or much of that is because they're scared. They're scared of Trump and Musk on a political level, primarying them, that is, targeting them.
Yeah.
And I think they're also scared. There's a sense of, if you're called out by Trump as an enemy or a problem, you know, within the party, that there's even a kind of physical fear. I mean, Romney talked about it for him and his family, you know.
You know, it's funny. You remind me of a story of an aunt in Greece. I mean, she's passed away now, but years ago, an uncle of mine was like the Greek defense minister, all these other jobs, very important in the 1980s under the socialist government. And it's his wife. Lovely woman at the time. You know, I met her in the early 90s. I'd never met her. And we were talking about Hillary Clinton and how she went up to Hillary Clinton once at the women's conference in Beijing, 96, maybe something like that, 1996. And she goes, I went up to her and I said, how could you stay with that man after everything he did? And I said, you did not. She goes, of course I did. And I tried to explain, this is relevant for Trump and the Republicans. I tried to explain, I said, look, but she went through her life supporting this man. She got him into office. She's the one who put him in the White House, basically. And she has a career of her own she wants, and she wants his support. If she divorces him, she loses that after everything she's invested. And she deserves to now get her chance, right? And she looked at me and she said, John, your self-respect is more important than a job. And it's what I think about today when I think about the Republican Party. And yeah, they're scared of Trump. Yeah, he's going to go after your job. Oh, poor people, right? Maybe then you shouldn't be in the job if you're a Republican and you're willing to give up on national defense of all things and the Constitution. I mean, like religion. I mean, supposedly they cared about family values. Literally nothing other than guns, there's like nothing they claim to care about they still do. And so I get upset. I mean, I get it. And I agree that they're afraid of Trump. But my God, were they all such wimps, every single one of them, and so craven that none of them sat there and said, other than a couple that have resigned, basically like Kinzinger and some. Well,
look what they did to Kinzinger. I mean, they've vilified Kinzinger. They've made him a poster child for a traitor.
Yeah, but having said that, you know, what's the worst thing that happened to Kinzinger? He lost his job. I mean, what they did to Adam was horrible. I love Adam Kinzinger. I don't agree with him on much, but right.
I'm with you on that.
But as far as defending the constitutional order and our freedom, I think the guy's great. But what did they do to him? He lost his job. He's fine. He's not even, I mean, there is something very craven about the fact that the Republicans, the MAGA people are scary, but literally you're talking about losing a job. And you thought, you know what? I guess I'll cave on defending my country because I don't want to lose my job. Oh, poor baby. I'm really shocked as to how much Republicans don't believe in the values. I don't want to sound naive here, but I really thought they believed this crap.
I don't know, John. I'm surprised that you're surprised, because I think that, you've worked around these people so closely.
But I thought they believed the freedom stuff and the religion stuff. No, that's what I'm saying. Like the family, I didn't think the family value stuff was a lie. It was horrible, but I thought they believed it. And then you look at Trump and they go, I guess we don't care about the religion and the family values anymore. Okay.
I mean, hypocrisy has never sort of risen to the level it's risen in the GOP. It's extraordinary. I mean, and it goes to policy as well on the Supreme Court appointment. We can't vote. Remember what they did to Obama with the open seat on the Supreme Court, and then when Trump has the seat, we get the appointment within a month of him leaving office.
But you know what, too? They fight a lot harder than we do, though. I mean, even what McConnell did, stealing the Supreme Court seat, I don't want to say we should steal things back, but we are not stealed enough, right? I've always complained that Democrats kind of suck at messaging. And even right now, right? Yeah. I'm not sure what Democrats should do in Congress to some degree, because I mean, what power do we have to stop Trump? But having said that, we all kind of have this gut feeling that they're kind of helpless right now and not sure what to even do is what it feels like. And Republicans, do you think Republicans right now, if the shoe was on the other foot, would go, oh gosh, we're so scared, we don't know what to do? The Republicans would be like, what? Tasmanian devils coming after us. If Obama were doing everything Trump was doing right now.
Yeah, Kim's pointing out that the Lisa Murkowski story, that Murkowski's sort of, I guess, coming forward with the idea as though, how can the GOP not have, basically saying what you're saying, which is how can no one in our party step forward and say something? It's odd coming from Lisa Murkowski, who really doesn't show up except to, she's the amen corner, I think, a bit.
Yeah.
With it,
I mean, she's opposed some of the, I was looking into this recently, actually, because I saw her kind of speaking out and I was like, she opposed a number of Trump's nominees, which is good. I mean, having said that, this is kind of like the Susan Collins thing. When Lisa Murkowski is your moderate, I mean, she's not a horrible person, I think, but she's pretty mainstream Republican. She's not a moderate. And Susan Collins isn't a moderate either, but she's all that's left.
They also, that opposition, just because we're on it, I think tends to show up when their votes aren't critical. I mean, and I think there's a little bit of that on the Democratic side, as you suggested.
Well, you get permission. I worked in the U.S. Senate. You very often get permission to vote the wrong way, because they say, okay, you come to the very end, we've counted the votes, we know we've got enough votes. Susan and Lisa, the moderate Republican senators, go ahead and vote against us because it'll help you politically, and we've got more than enough votes, we can lose your vote. And they will often literally get permission. Now, John McCain didn't get permission to save Obamacare. That was legitimate. But a lot of times when they vote negative, but we lose the vote anyway, they were told they could vote with us, basically, so that it wasn't an act of courage or something that they were doing.
I mean, you mentioned messaging. We talk a lot about it on the show. I've been talking about it for years, because politics really is all messaging and sales. And Trump, he sells better than anyone. I mean, he's completely unmoored. I mean, he's not attached to any.
Well, he's a huckster. He's a huckster.
Right. Exactly.
So he's a salesman, but he's a con artist. Salesman.
Yes. Yeah. He's not right. Thank you. It's
so there's a negative spin to it. Yeah.
But we on the left, or even moderate centrist left, need to find voices that also cut through. And I just saw, I guess it's today, maybe I saw it yesterday, that AOC and Bernie are going on a tour. Yeah. And those do feel like two of the stars in terms, I've always felt Bernie communicates so well. I mean, and he calls out the billionaires. He speaks plain language. He speaks in a kind of angry way, the same way Trump cut through. I'm angry about this, and you should be angry about this.
No BS,
I feel that's effective.
You hear Bernie, if Bernie's to the left of me, but I hear Bernie and I don't ever feel like I'm being spun. I don't feel like he's giving me BS, right? And AOC is, again, so far to the left of me. Again, I'm very impressed with her, though, but I'm just telling you guys my politics. But she doesn't bullshit. Right. I've never felt like AOC was spinning me a line. Now, I will say this. I still, again, as somebody a little, not in the middle, but I'd say in the middle of Democrats, I still worry, though, that we've got like the socialist wing that's out there representing us and railing the troops. That's great. But, I wish we could maybe get others too, but frankly, they're all we've got. They're the only two who seem to be this good.
Why is it only the socialists are the ones who can communicate?
Well,
That's
okay.
your frustration, John?
I mean, let's be honest. It's not just them, right? Richie, I was going to call him Cunningham. What the hell's, I know Richie Torres. Richie Torres in New York is amazing. A Democratic congressman, Black, Latino, gay, a little more of the middle for Democrats.
Right.
Incredibly well-spoken. Ruben Gallego, new senator, former congressman, Arizona, very well-spoken. You know, we do have a number. I mean, Gavin Newsom, you know, he's been pissing off people lately, but Newsom's very good with the messaging. Pete Buttigieg. I mean, so like we do have people, honestly, even somebody like Buttigieg, I think what Bernie and AOC are doing is good because at least somebody is trying to take the lead on messaging. Buttigieg should be out there more, frankly, because he's so good at the messaging.
Brilliant. He's brilliant.
We get occasional hits and we go, oh my God, look what Pete just did. And you share the video. No, Pete needs to be out there regularly. Now, having said that, someday he wants to run for president. So maybe he's holding back. I don't know the calculus, right? But those of our people who speak better, maybe we need to figure out how to get Richie out there more. Again, on Palestine and Israel, people will hate him on the far left. But otherwise, Richie's kind of amazing at going after Republicans.
Well, you thought you were going to get that with John Fetterman, by the way, a kind of guy who represents, he reps this everyman kind of thing in every way. He seems to be a plain speaker. Then, of course, he suffered the stroke and all this kind of thing. But and now his politics seem to be a little more confused, to be polite about it. So
I don't know with him, right? I mean, well, again, it could have been the injury. Maybe at his heart, he was more a centrist. You're still getting no BS from him. He's just throwing it at us a little more. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the straight talk we're getting is a little more at the left than the right lately, I think, from him. But I know what you mean. We were kind of hoping maybe, you know, even the dress code with him not wearing good clothes to Congress, we thought, oh, maybe he's a little more of a hippie, you know, but he's not a hippie.
Because there is the populist thing is the thing now, you know, and I feel as though it's going to become more the thing. We're not going to lose that. That's my sense of things now. So I think we need somebody with a connection to that populist message.
You know what's funny, though? You just got me thinking this when you said populist. But think of what Trump did. Trump took populism in the Republican Party, and he didn't quite make it. He kind of made it conservative Republicans, but not really, right? Because he's not in some ways, certainly not on defense, right? Certainly not on moral stuff. He's trans bashing, but that's about it. I mean, he's made populism this third way, to use the phrase, Republicanism, and maybe that's the way it works, right? Where we get populist, but just because you're a populist doesn't mean you're either I don't want to say far left, but whatever the word is, far right, far left, on that side of the party. Apparently, maybe we're going to shake things up too. I don't know.
I mean, it's interesting that you characterize him that way, Trump, because you're right, of course. But I also think of the way that he's wrapped himself in the flag and the Bible.
Yes.
I mean, so he really does vacuum up a lot of that crowd, that single issue voter crowd.
That's their hypocrisy and their lack of moral standing thing, right? Because for Trump to wrap himself in the flag after denigrating the troops and supporting our enemies, for Trump to wrap himself in the family values crap, when this guy, by my count, he's probably broken 9 of the 10 commandments. I have no suggestion that he's murdered anybody. I think every single other one he's done, right?
Well, John, it takes an imperfect vessel to do the Lord's perfect work. Okay.
Actually, but you're joking, but what you're sort of referring to is Trump claimed repeatedly, which your audience may remember, God saved me from the attacks last year, the assassination attempts. He wanted me to win. Yeah, sure he did, Donald. Right. It's more likely the devil wanted Trump to win. I mean, but he's able to say this stuff. And by the way, we sit back and we kind of go, ha, ha, ha. And he gets away with claiming God's mantle when this guy is the most unreligious or anti-religious person on the planet.
Yeah, it's hard to fight.
You know, he laughs when those people do the laying of hands on him and stuff. Can you imagine what's going on in his head?
Well, look, this is a guy who's playing president and playing it well. I think he's a generational political figure. I say it on the show occasionally, and I get blowback. In other words, I think he's a terrific salesman, huckster, con man, whatever you want to call it. So good that he's been able to sweep up this entire party and get into power. So
he won twice.
So the idea that he could stand there while people pray around him, is my point, is that's just another thing. Where do I stand? Okay, they're going to pray around me. Got it. Okay, when do we? In 3, 2, 1, and go. You know, I mean,
I'll just think about porn in my head while they're praying for me. I mean, no, but I mean, and they know it and they don't care.
Right. Right. There's a lot about this that's about power, John. Last thing in our last minute with you, I wanted to ask you how you game out the Ukraine-Russia latest. You know, the idea somehow that we would take ownership of some of the energy plants there, of the nuclear plant. It's all so
Bizarre.
unprecedented, frankly.
Well, it's bizarre too. Like initially Trump wanted half of Ukraine's rare earth minerals worth $500 billion or something crazy. I can see why we'd want those if you're a calloused, avarice, you know, extortionist, sure. But now he wants, instead, we'd like some of Ukraine's power plants. That does not, if you're just looking at it from a purely, you know, America, let's grab stuff. We're going to get Ukraine's power plants. Oh, that sounds very exciting, Donald. Thank you so much. That'll, right. I mean, he's up to something. That's not what's actually going on. I don't know what it is. He's going to sell Ukraine out. He's on Russia's side. He's not on Ukraine's side. He's not even in the middle. He's not Switzerland, although Switzerland's been helping to be honest, us. He's on Russia's side. He's going to reach a crappy deal. Ukraine doesn't have a choice. I mean, at this point, Ukraine's not going to win the war, obviously, right? I mean, I support Ukraine, but come on. He's going to make them reach a crappy deal. And in 3 to 5 to 8 years, Russia's going to invade again to finish Ukraine off. I mean, I think that's exactly, and the Ukrainians know it. And he's not going to do much to help forestall that from happening. And that's what worries me.
It's worrisome. It's
bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's depressing, honestly, really depressing. Yeah. I mean, and these are free people who want to continue free, and they're going to get anything but that.
They're Europeans. They're our allies. They've also shown that they're damn good fighters. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They've got a super technology infrastructure. A lot of Ukrainians are basically tech consultants internationally. I mean, a lot of stuff that we'd be like, oh, this is be interesting. And frankly, the rare earth minerals. Like, I don't object to the idea of saying, hey, maybe America gets something out of this. And if America has ownership rights and things like that, the Russians might be afraid of going after it. That's interesting. Maybe we'd even go and defend those mines or whatever, right? Because we don't want the Russians getting them. I mean, strategically, I don't like the extortion aspect, but I like the idea of tying us more closely to Ukraine, right? But I don't think he's going to do any of that. He just wants it to end so he can get his Nobel Prize and make Vladimir Putin happy.
I sadly agree with you. And I too would have loved a connection between the U.S. and Ukraine that would have been independent of Russia. And that would have kept us in the peacemaker game as opposed to what we're doing now, which is just
and we'll come back in 4 years when Trump is gone. But he has so damaged America's brand. I was talking on my show last night. Nobody can trust us anymore. We are one election away. No matter who we elect president, we are one election away from screwing you over if you're an American ally.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, we talk about the Ukraine nuke and a security agreement that was made in the 90s. Yeah. And as you say, well, it was just one election, and now that's like we've forgotten. Forget about it. We're not.
There's always another Trump on the horizon now, potentially. So why should you trust America if another Biden comes in and says, don't worry, I'm with you, Europe? Yeah, and then Russia's going to invade in 5 years, and it's going to be another bad Trump, and we're not going to come defend you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's horrible to say. You cannot trust us anymore.
Yeah, we used to be sort of the North Star, I think, for much of the world, and now
actually, quick second. There's a famous quote from de Gaulle to Kennedy, I believe, at the Cuban Missile Crisis, and he was going to show de Gaulle like the satellite photos to prove what was going on, and de Gaulle responded, "No, the word of the American president is enough for me to believe."
Wow. Yeah, boy,
that
seems that seems like some kind of fairy tale book now.
You know,
John Aravosis. The show is the Aravosis Report.
Yep.
Now, just tell everybody where they can find it. I'd love to
mostly
bring people over
TikTok and YouTube. On TikTok, I'm just my last name at Aravosis. On YouTube, it's John Aravosis DC because YouTube is weird. There's no other Aravosis. It's just me, but they're weird.
That is wild.
But I do it on both. YouTube is a little calmer. TikTok is a little more TikTok, so a little crazier. But Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern time, US, I do a nightly show on just the latest political news from Washington and then some of the international news.
We love your stuff in this house, and I look forward to more. And please come visit again.
Oh, I'd love to.
All right, we'll do it, John. We'll make a plan.
Right,
great.
bye,
John Aravosis, everybody. So long. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.